Hey there, and welcome back to a speed art series on my channel called Story Swap, where we'll take characters from various stories we tell here and switch to their universes to see what they would look like in an alternate world. This swap we will be doing the Origins animatic series characters in the Brightside Masks RPG universe. More specifically, the Reapers. In our previous video, we did the vessels from Origins and what they would look like in the Brightside universe. Be sure to check that out if you haven't already. And don't worry, you don't need to know every single thing about both shows to enjoy the video. Of course, when we say Reapers, you think of Imp, so we're gonna start with him. For Imp, I decided that he would be the Janus playbook, which is a very Spider-Man-like character, living dual lives, having multiple obligations. I almost picked the Delinquent playbook for Imp because of his very obvious impish nature, but I figured Janus fit a little bit more considering he's kind of balancing between two literal worlds, between the undead world and the living world, where on the living world he helps May with the vessels and becoming a guardian angel, and then in the Rift he has a whole other obligation of a rebellion. So living that dual lives and checking in with May's family and being so busy all the time, the Janus really just suits Imp. Except I don't think he would be the kind of Janus to hide his identity. I feel like he's very loud and proud and would not wear a mask or a cape of any sorts. He definitely doesn't see himself as a hero. Even in Origins, he doesn't see himself as a hero. So I don't think he would very openly look like a hero, so I think he's gonna try and blend in more, which is why I went for a more casual outfit for Imp. I decided to make him half Keto, which basically means that he's a part dragon person, and I thought that would be a kind of a cool way to include his freckles by making them into scales instead. And plus, Imp's shadow is a cobra, and I thought that cobras might be the closest thing to Ketos that we can possibly get, so he's partially his shadow now, which is kind of cool. And I get to add horns, so everything really checks out for this. Since Imp is technically a mixed breed, when his cat form in Origins, I thought that would make sense if he was half human, half Kita in Brightside. Definitely went with lots of reds and golds with this character. I mean, that's kind of Imp's entire color scheme, but I really kind of wanted to make it pop a little bit more with the blacks as well, since I didn't give him wings like he had in the pocket watch or anything like that. Of course, we had to include pocket watch motifs. I put the literal pocket watch kind of like attached to his jacket, and then he has like some chains that I imagine he would fight with. Like, I don't know why, but chains are just such an underrated weapon to me. Imp would be so cool fighting with them, almost like whips. So that's why he has the chains. And of course, I tried to include a tiny little bit of the Reaperness on his shoes with the little skulls. I thought that was really cute. And Imp's superpowers would be the same that he would have in the Rift, which are illusions and foresight, but I decided to give him some flight to kind of give a nod to his wings in his pocket watch form. So that's the reason why he can fly. Even though he doesn't have wings, I just wanted to kind of include it so that way there's a little bit of that little pocket watch Imp still present in the design. And this is how it turned out. Look how snazzy he is. He definitely thinks he's the main character. Probably because he is. On to our next best boy, Morven. This one took a really interesting turn, because Morven's powers, specifically in the Rift, in the Origins universe, is shadow pawning and shadow control. So Morven can basically take control of people's shadows, essentially command them. And the word pawning was always just so interesting to me. I don't know what drawn me to that word, but then I started to think of chess pieces like pawns. And then I based Morven's entire hero outfit based on chess pieces and cards and just board game-esque things. I went with the soldier playbook for Morven because Morven is very devoted to Shiva and will basically do anything he can for his cause and anything that he believes in. He's a very strong character too. This hero definitely struggles a little bit because, you know, shadow powers are probably not viewed as very heroic. They're probably viewed as more villainous, so Morven probably has a little bit of a stigma to overcome, which just honestly plays more into the soldier. Usually with soldier characters in Masks games, they have some sort of thing going against them where people don't trust them and they feel maybe a little too strongly towards their faction or whatever they're devoted to, which you get the vibes that Morven might be a little villainous, but honestly Morven is not. Morven is just a hero doing his absolute best and studying all he can to be the best hero he can be. Of course, I included on the shoulder pads his tortoise shell because I thought that was like a cool way to make a nod to his shadow in the rift, but also it really fits with like the chess piece looking outfit. And I drew as many original colors as I could from Morven's Origins design. And of course, I think he would cover his face, mostly for intimidation. I think that there would be like a voice modulation on Morven's voice because of this mask, but not so much cover the eyes because he definitely wants to strike fear in his enemies, and I feel like his stare could really spook some people. And this is our lone knight Morven. I love the color scheme. Oh my gosh, all the greens work so well with this character. Hollow is next, and oh boy, I bet everyone's gonna be surprised about this. I decided to make Hollow a Novalian, which is a species from Brightside, who are essentially these masked salamander people who live in a deserted planet. Most Novalians don't actually have powers, but I did want to include Hollow's power from the Rift, which is fire. Fire generation, fire manipulation. So aside from that, she doesn't really have much powers, so I decided to give her a big shield. I think Hollow is definitely a protector and would be more of a defender than a fighter, and would only use her fire powers for self-defense. So I decided to give her that big shield with the rift symbol on it because she is also a soldier playbook. She is also very devoted to Shiva and her cause. And I decided to give her hero name Essence because that is the name of her daughter, and I feel like she would want to honor her daughter by taking on her name in a heroic way. And of course the mask has her ram horns, which is her shadow in the rift. She has 3 sets of ears, which is very interesting. Just looked very majestic and kind of resembled her dog self with the ears pointing straight up. I gave her some very elegant kind of draping little ribbon-like outfit accessories. I feel like she would use those to fight, but mostly to save. I feel like she would cast out some fabric and grab people and like reel them in to save them. I feel like everything about her is definitely more on the defense. She's not an offensive character. So this is what Hollow would be like if she was in the Brightside universe. On to a personal favorite, Elena, my girl. I love her. Her name is going to be Heartbreak, because this hero is definitely going to be breaking something of yours. She is very loud and proud and will fight you. That's why I decided to go with the Bull playbook for Elena. These characters typically have a love and a rival, and I feel like for Elena, her rival is going to be Morven and her love is going to be Imp. She has telekinesis, so usually her methods for fighting are very much so tearing up the earth and the environment around her and throwing it at you. Emphasis on the break in Heartbreak. I definitely wanted to make her outfit a little more futuristic and a little bit more glowy, because I thought it'd be really cool if it glowed when she activated her powers, so that way people could see, uh-oh, something is coming, because she is just a very boisterous character like that. I decided to make her ears more like elf-like to sort of resemble her bobcat ears in Origins. And I loved drawing these braids. Luckily I had a brush to save me a little bit of time. It would have been slightly more tedious. But I love her braids, how they kind of go ombre down to match her colors in the original design. It just turned out very, very good. And everything about this design just turned out so peak. I love the broken heart motif. I love the color palette. Her mint colors just really shining through. I really adore how Elena turned out. I mean, look at this. That is a hero if I've ever seen one. She is gonna kick butt. For our next character, we will be doing Lusk. This was gonna be quite a difficult one because I had to take a fox and essentially turn it into an anthropomorphic crow. So that was interesting. Lusk has the power of time alteration in the Rift, so I decided to make her name Miss Tempo because she often likes to be off tempo. She likes to do things differently, she likes to have fun, and she doesn't really play by the rules. She thinks rules are silly. So I thought that'd also be really cute because it's Miss Tempo, as in like, oh yeah, you think she's just like a cute little girly being a superhero. But no, she can actually purposefully skip time, pause time, and really mess with people that way. I decided to pick the Outsider playbook for her because she's going to be an Ornith, which is basically the bird race species in Brightside. And the Outsiders are usually aliens who are somewhat ditzy and somewhat curious of the world they are in. They don't really know very much about societal norms or anything like that, so she's just going to be very uppity and very, like, confused most of the time, but she's got the spirit. For her outfit, I decided to go very simplistic because she is quite young. Lusk is the youngest member of Imp's whole team, so I figured I'd make her outfit slightly more youthful and a lot more uniform, almost like a tutu, almost like a dancing outfit, because of course Lusk likes to dance. And of course I gave her a little mask just to match the outfit. It doesn't really cover her eyes or anything, but I think it's just cute. And I gave her a little logo in the very center. That's kind of the focal point of her outfit, is her Miss Tempo logo. And this is what Lusk would be like in the Brightside universe. As a crow, instead of it just being her shadow in Origins, now she gets to actually be the crow and use her super cool powers to be a hero. Kona's an interesting character. She's changed a lot since I've started the rewriting of Origins. Yes, Kona is now a girl. That's one huge thing that has changed. I just think grumpy grandma energy is gonna fit super well for this character. So I went Joshua, which is the fish race of Brightside. I did this with Kona because I figured, hey, her shadow is a shark in the rift, so why don't we make her shark-like? But then I struggled a little bit with the shark. It wasn't really giving me the details I needed to make it look a lot like Kona. So then I decided to go with more of the viper fish, because gosh, they are very striking. They have very interesting details and features, and I really wanted to pick something to show that she is trans, because usually with viper and anglerfish, the females have the lights on the top of their head and the males do not. So this is kind of a very subtle detail to say, hey, this character is trans, but it's not written in black and white all over the character. It's just a very subtle detail that indicates that, hey, Kona is trans now, because in case you didn't know, when I change a character's gender for any reason from their original, I make them trans. That's just kind of it. If that happens, if for whatever reason it warrants a gender change, then they just identify as trans. That's what happened with Thistle, honestly. Thistle is non-binary because I couldn't decide. I kept switching back and forth between genders for Thistle, and then I just decided, well, non-binary. Now they're trans. Mesmerade is literally the coolest hero name I've ever come up with in my entire life. I just want to say right now, Mesmerade is literally so cool. It's like mesmerizing mermaid. She is slaying. She has her super cool outfit. I decided to go with like the fan in the back. Kona's powers are transformation. She can shapeshift into things. So I thought that would be so much fun if she was more of a median, not so much a righteous hero, can be villainous, can have a little too much fun, can go a little too far, but does the right thing most of the time. And because Kona is trans, I decided to pick the newborn playbook. Imagine shapeshifting and then one day you can't shift back. That's essentially what's happened to this character, and probably why she's a little more villain aligned and she is hero aligned, and why she's teetering in the middle of hero and villain. Perhaps in her previous life, she was more heroic, but now that she is transformed, literally, things might be a little different. I love Kona. Kona's such an interesting character. I can't wait to delve more into these characters as we go into seasons 2 and 3 of Origins. Dazen has one of the best designs, changed my mind. I love this character, oh my gosh. So I took the walrus shadow that Dazen has in Origins and decided, hey, Dazen can just be a walrus, which I've been doing kind of a lot for this whole feed art so far, but that's okay. I just think it's fun. So Dazen's also a Joshua, but from the Arctic portions of the world, probably, and takes on the Beacon playbook, which means Dazen doesn't really have superpowers, but has a lot of gadgets or knowledge. So Dazen likes to build all sorts of different machines and things to help little spirits basically inhabit them and control them. I figured Dazen would be more of a median rather than just a hero or villain. I feel like Dazen would be right in the middle, because honestly, if you're like a mad scientist that makes crazy contraptions for ghosts to possess, you're very much teetering on the line of genius and insanity, and you're very much teetering on the line of ethical and non-ethical. So it's very much so a median label for me for Dazen. I decided to pick the name Morse code because Morse is actually an old way of saying walrus, and I thought that was really funny. And code, obviously, to fit with the technology, so it really plays in, and everything works out really well, honestly, with Morse code. I gave Dazen his lovely goggles, but I struggled a little bit with the swirls. I had to make them not swirly. It just kind of looked weird. And then I decided to give Dazen almost like a scuba diving outfit? Something like that. Some full body to cover everything, because if you're working with machinery and things, you have to be safe. Oh, the colors are just so good. I love the pinks and purples. Dazen has always rocked it and will continue to rock it in every universe that I draw him in. Shiva is going to be really interesting in the Brightside universe because she's going to be a hero. I know everybody's going to come at me and be like, but wait, Shiva's the villain, what the heck? In Origins, Shiva's the villain. I'm gonna be like, no, guys, listen. Shiva thinks she's the hero. That's the thing. Most of these characters are heroic in their own right. So Shiva would identify as a hero herself. She thinks she is a great leader, she thinks she is a hero, she thinks she is doing the right thing. Everybody else might label her as a villain, such as Imp, since you see the story from his perspective, but Shiva herself sees herself as quite the hero. As she is the legacy after all, her parents did pass down the title to her, in both the Rift and in Brightside universe. I decided to make her Akita because her shadow is a dragon, and this is the closest thing you can get to being a dragon in Brightside universe. Her powers are still the exact same. She has reflection, so anything you deal to her damage-wise, she can deal right back. So you have to be very careful with her. With that, I decided to name her Reprise as her hero name because she offers great relief, and she offers justice, and she also will make you pay for what you do to her. She will literally reflect it right back at you. Of course, we had to make her pink since her redesigns went from, you know, the old colors of red to pink, and now she is just bright pink. She has the bright red eyes. I didn't draw the other eye, which I'm really mad about because it still has the scar and everything in different coloration. And I did keep a lot of the gold accents because I love having the pocket watch present and all the gold tips on her horns and tail. And I still kept her horns to look very much so like rose thorns because she's very rosy in her Origins redesign. And then to make a sort of a nod to her very first design, I decided to go red and black for the outfit. And I thought this was really interesting because she looks very villain-like, but she is a hero. And I think that really suits her and really speaks to her character for both of these scenarios, for both Origins and Brightside. And this is our lovely girl Shiva in the Brightside universe, rocking the outfit and the legacy that she was passed down. Relvani was going to be quite the challenge, to say the least, because she's already very Brightside-esque, in my opinion. Brightside, as I was working on it, as I was drawing it, as we were recording it, taught me a lot about how to draw humans. So the way that I made Relvani's new design in the Origins redesigns, it's very Brightside-esque already, so I had to really change her up. So I changed up her species. I made her a Phytopian, which is essentially a chinchilla giraffe race from Brightside, and I also gave her the delinquent playbook. So she definitely doesn't play by the rules. She's definitely going to be a lot more fiery and a lot more fun. And then her dice that she has in her original design are now possessed. Her dice are possessed and they talk to her and they choose her superpowers. So she rolls the dice and she gets a random superpower that the dice grant her. Only for a specific amount of time, anyway. Hauntar is literally another amazing hero name. I am so good. I am on fire with these names, guys. Hauntar, because the dice are possessed or haunted, and then Tar to sort of nod to the fact that her shadow in Origins is a bull, and she's very centaur-like in the Brightside universe. So it's just genius. I'm just awesome. I'm just saying. I just decided to make her completely purple. I just went full purple with her because it just really works well. Phytopians naturally have horns as well. They're very tiefling-like if you play D&D. And then of course I kept her red cape. It was just very odd without it. I tried to make it other colors, it just didn't work. It just needed to be red. I ended up just keeping basically essentially her original outfit with just a couple of extra changes. And yeah, Relvani doesn't have too terribly much of a difference, but I think this is a little more suited for Brightside if she were in the universe. On to our next character, Scana, who is the leader of the Aqua Rift. It was very interesting trying to make an outfit for Scana. He's very closed off and very like to himself, so I decided to give him like cloaks and hoods and capes and just long drapes of outfits. because he is going to also be a median, teetering between that line of good and evil, and he's the Nomad. The Nomad is a character playbook that basically leaves this character in and out of the world. They are not really connected to anyone or anything, but they do show up when it matters most. Scana has portal powers, which is the same thing as the Origins universe, which I don't know has ever been mentioned, but that is Scana's power, at least the updated power anyway. And of course he's going to be a Joshua, because I'm still going to have him be an orca, and his name is going to be Killer Wave, because it resembles Killer Whale, but also a wave of sort of either devastation or relief, depending on how he feels, because he is a median, and if he sees it fit, he will destroy or he will save, and I think that's a really cool and interesting character. He still has the harpoon through his jaw, and I decided to add a little bit more gold onto his design to match his eyes, and it honestly complemented the harpoon as well. So this is what Killer Wave or Scana would be like in the Brightside universe as a nomadic median. On to some of the newer Reaper characters, Ren, who is basically Reaper Reed. This is going to be, obviously, an ex-villain character, so this is going to be a reformed playbook character. I feel like Reed's superpowers would be life absorption, so it can be a very scary power if not controlled well. As you can see, I put Ren through quite a bit. He only has one wing and it's broken. He has the scratch over his eye because as soon as he got Ivy once, he got it back. And yeah, it is all scars and all beat up for this character. But that just shows that he has a lot to learn from and a lot to grow from. So I decided to make his name Rectify, so he can try and rectify the wrongs of his past, even though it might be a little difficult to say the least. I definitely wanted him to be more human-like, just because Reed and Ren are very human to me in Origins. They are very much so. They have so much feeling, they have so much depth and emotion and anger and anguish. Like, they are just very human. But I did decide to make Ren's human design a lot more dark with the outfit, a lot more sinister in a way, to resemble, hey, this guy was once a villain, but now he's good, and at first glance, you might not know that he's good. He's definitely a very beat-up character, but I think he has at least enough control of his life absorption now and has learned from his past that he's ready to be a hero at last. So this is what Ren would be like in the Brightside universe. Still has the Blackbird resemblance of the Shadow in Origins with that big broken wing, probably from a failed experiment of some sort. Our last Reaper of the day is going to be Sin, which is Cypress as a Reaper. Of course, had to take on the name Deadly Sin, because it's very, very funny and perfect, because Deadly being Cypress is dead, and also Sin because Cinder being shortened to Sin. It's just all very funny. I just think it all works out really well. Sin is also going to be a median. I know Cypress is technically a villain in the Brightside universe when he becomes a ghost, but if he ever did have a second chance, I feel like he would be teetering on that line. He would not be so much a good hero, but I feel like he'd be a lot less a villain if he got a second chance. He's going to be the Nova, which means he has very explosive powers. He's going to have very intense, difficult to control powers. So in this scenario, we'll pretend that Cypress was once a ghost and he was a villain haunting people, but then one day he gets revived and given a second chance, but he has all of these powers that he cannot control. Affinity is basically the power to have any power at any given time, making Sin very out of control, which people can be quite afraid of. But also, he could get just the right thing at the right time and save the day. I kind of wanted to be a Red X because it's pretty edgy, and I wanted like the straps to kind of go over these kind of orbs, like these energy orbs. I feel like they would work in the way that they would glow and indicate, hey, this is power changing time, your power is about to change, and it would charge up and then glow very brightly when the power was changing. Because I can imagine Sin mid-fight trying to save the day and then all of a sudden, oh, you can't fly anymore. That would be catastrophic. So I thought that was really fun. I gave him big gloves and big boots because I feel like those are going to help suppress his powers. I feel like he's going to use a lot of gadgets to help control and maintain his powers. And then last minute I did give him a hood just so he can hide his identity if he needed to, more so than the mask. And I think this turned out pretty good, considering he's very much so looks in between hero and villain, which is exactly what I was going for Sin. So these would be the Reapers if they were in the Brightside universe. All the Reapers here would be very hero and median aligned, so luckily we didn't end up with too many villains this time. But what are your thoughts? I really would love to know what you would change. So the next video we'll be doing all the side characters from Origins and what they would look like in the Brightside universe. This will be split up into 2 parts, so look out for part 1 very soon.